All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be breaking down this Saturday slate, which to me is a pretty interesting 5-game slate on DraftKings. Let's go ahead and break it down. So to me, we're just getting some interesting games here, guys, that are somewhat a decent game stacking opportunities. We got Utah versus Orlando. We have Denver versus Chicago, which is actually projected to be a closer game than I would have expected. Golden State is going to have some interesting plays, and just overall a pretty interesting 5-game slate here. So let's start here with the first game, which is going to be Utah versus Orlando. The reason why I like this game is going to be due to the game total, 237.5. Now it is an 8.5 point spread. You know, we start to worry about a blowout there, but Keontae George is currently listed as questionable. That does matter. If he ends up sitting, obviously Isaiah Collier ends up being a very interesting click. And then this is also going to be the first game with Jaren Jackson Jr. How much is that going to hurt Lauri Markkanen, or will it help him? Like that's a big question that we have. And then we are looking at some of the Magic plays. And so I think George at his price tag to me is very appealing, guys. Priced at 8.1. We know he's been someone that's been able to go off really this whole season. And if you're telling me that this game is going to be a high scoring game, I really like the idea of playing him. And the nice part about him is that he is listed as questionable in the early game. And so if we need to adjust, we just go ahead and get to Isaiah Collier, who, if George is out, he might play all the minutes. Once again, he's played 48 minutes the last couple of games. Obviously, they'll have to adjust that. Now, Collier could end up still being in play here if George even ends up being active, but obviously becomes a lot less likely to be able to hit value there. And then from there, I don't feel like we need to go crazy with any of the other plays here. Now they end up becoming a little bit overpriced, especially with us needing to take a wait and see approach. And then we take a peek at Orlando. I really don't mind any of them. Like, Carter somewhat in play. Banchero is someone that you would want to be able to go off, obviously, but he's struggled lately. This is a good matchup, and I do think he would be someone that could end up having a very big game, but at the same time, it could be a spot where we're asking a little bit too much out of him. Anthony Black is someone that I could easily see end up going off here in this game. I really don't mind the idea of game stacking this game here, especially with more Magic plays, because, you know, Desmond Bane is a play that I really like as well, especially in a good matchup. Like, I don't mind the idea of getting to both of them, and especially in a game stack. Now, I don't know if we necessarily need to get there, and you could also get away with like Suggs. I think all 3 of those guard plays are in play for the Magic. And again, I do like the idea of stacking this game, but then we are going to be eliminating some of the really decent plays that we're getting later on the slate as well. And so if we look at it from the DraftKings NBA cheat sheet, we are going to see that Suggs and Carter are good values. And then we take a peek at Utah, guys. The data is not necessarily loving anyone here, which again does make sense. I like the idea of getting to George. I think he still has that ceiling today. And then let's look at the next game, guys. We got Charlotte versus Atlanta. So Kuminga's out. Buddy Hield couldn't have played. The reason why I like this game is because it's not a terrible game total, 230, 2-point spread, so I don't mind that. Ball and Miller are 2 players that do benefit with Sexton being off the court, and so with Kobe White still being out, maybe we could be looking at them. To me, it is a little thin here. Like, I don't mind the idea of riding the hot hand with Jalen Johnson. Like, he's the pay up that I do want to get to. But when we go ahead and take a peek at the data, guys, like Ball is like really the only one we need to be targeting, and I like him. I do. I would rather get to George at a very similar price tag. And then, yeah, I do like the idea of getting to Jalen Johnson. He's the pay up that I prefer. I don't mind not as well. He's fine. Jock Landale ended up having a very solid game in his first game there with Atlanta, which was a little bit surprising. But if Anika Gonku is out, who's currently listed as questionable, then I think we could be looking at Jock Landale to be a very good play. But that's if-then statement. That's only if Anika is out, then we're going to be looking at Landale. And so then we go ahead and take a peek at Denver versus Chicago. Okay, Denver is in a weird spot. Okay, Jokic is expected to play. Braun is expected to play. Cameron Johnson currently questionable, but Peyton Watson's out. And so it is kind of difficult to figure out like who we need to be targeting there for Denver, although decent game, and it's a game that's projected to stay close. Chicago, however, is going to be without Giddey, Collins, Jalen Smith can end up staying, and Trey Jones is still out. So Simons had a good game in his first game there for Chicago. Jaden Ivey, some of that I don't mind. And so Simons is someone where at his price tag, I'm fine with him as a play. He's a little bit shot dependent, as we know. If he's going to hit value, he's going to be having a good day shooting the basketball. And at his price tag, I do think he's too cheap. I do think we need to be looking at him, although it's not the best matchup. I will say that. So there's a slight concern there, but I do like getting into him in the shooting guard spot. Same thing for Jaden Ivey, guys. Jaden Ivey, just a little bit too cheap. He is also someone that is more points dependent, but he can contribute elsewhere. And the fact that he had 33 minutes in that game to me is heavily appealing, even in what is, projected to be a more difficult matchup. That being said, we also do have Colin Sexton here for the Bulls, and is he someone that's going to end up playing more? Okay, so that's where I don't know if we want to be playing both of Ivy and Simons because Sexton's there, and then you still have Yuki. They obviously like Yuki. I'm kind of surprised at the pricing for Yuki, although he's been terrible shooting the basketball over literally all 3 games except for one. I still don't mind him, but also a little thin. Gorson had a very solid game, guys, in his last game as well against Toronto. Ended up playing 33 minutes, which to me was a little bit shocking. That being said, I mean, he got minutes over Patrick Williams. That's not too crazy. Jalen Smith is someone that ended up being active in that game as well. And so I think Gorson is fully entrenched as a play for us today, especially if Jalen Smith were to end up sitting. Then he becomes a great play. If Jalen Smith ends up playing, I don't mind him as well. He's going to be forced to get some minutes. And so he's someone that becomes a viable option. And then from there, guys, Jokic does draw a pretty good matchup. And so I do think he's probably the one we want to be getting to the most. Jalen Johnson second, and then Jokic the most. But considering the price tag, I might go with Johnson a little bit more so. If it was just a 1-for-1, hey, who's going to score the most points? I would say Jokic, but considering the price, I do like Johnson. But I also like the fact that Jokic is going to eat up the center spot. From there, I don't mind Murray, although I feel like he's a little bit priced up. And if we look at the cheat sheet, guys, the data is basically agreeing with that. It's basically Jokic and then moving on. But we do take a peek at Chicago, guys, gain a bunch of value there. So it is Simons. The data does like Sexton more than Ivy. Richards is also somewhat appealing, guys, projected for 13 minutes. It won't take much for him to get there. So it does prefer Sexton over Ivy. I might be setting a rule in the 9-to-5 lineup builder. And the rule would be, let's get at least one of, and then to be Simons, Ivy, and Sexton in all of our builds. Or it could be exactly 2 of those. I don't mind that approach as well, but we want to be getting exactly one of those in all of our builds. So then from there, guys, we got Golden State versus the Lakers, and Reeves is kind of the biggest question mark with Luka being out. How many minutes will Reeves end up getting? Because he's been limited the last couple of games, and so if he gets his normal 34 minutes, which is what he's currently projected to get, he is going to go off. He just is. And then we look at Golden State, guys, they're still thin. Curry's out, Porzingis out, Pods is out, and then Jimmy Butler's out as well. And so Santos has been pretty useful. Melton's been appealing. And so let's start out here with the Warriors. Now, Melton is priced up a little bit too much here for the amount of minutes that he's been playing. He's going to be projected to score basically the same amount of minutes as well, which to me, I don't like that. At the same time, I think he's still a good play. Pat Spencer's play that some people might be trying to get to. I don't mind. I think it's a fine GPP play. He's definitely cheaper than Melton. Production-wise, Melton does produce more per 36 wise with those players off the court, although price considered and minutes considered, I think Spencer is just as appealing. We'll see what the data says in just a second. Santos, I don't mind. Again, he's been very productive recently. His minutes have been kind of trickling upwards as well, and you're telling me we could get 30 DFS points at 5K. I'm happy to get that. That's 6X, and so he's someone that I think is continuing to be in play for us. And then from there, guys, I don't want to mess too much with Green or Horford. Horford's okay, but I don't think we need to mess with that. And then let's take a quick peek here, guys, at the Lakers. Again, I really like the idea of getting to Reeves. Per 36 wise, he averages 50 points per 36 with Luka off the court. And I think there's a great chance he even gives us 40 fantasy points regardless, just with his amount of minutes that he gets. So I really like the idea of getting to him. He's going to be someone I'm playing in the guard spot. From there, LeBron's a little bit in play, but he's priced up a little bit too much for me. And so from there, I'm surprised today it doesn't like Reeves more. And I think we should, in the lineup builder, be bumping up Reeves a little bit more fantasy score wise to ensure that we're going to get to him, because I just think that's the correct decision. And then, we go and take a peek at Golden State. What does the data tell us are the top plays? Well, Melton post, it actually likes post. That's interesting. It's getting to pause a little bit. Pause is questionable. If he were to sit, maybe we don't need to get there. And then it doesn't like Santos that much, which I find interesting. And then let's go ahead and take a peek at Philly versus Phoenix, guys. We are waiting on news as to whether or not Booker's going to play. And then Embiid questionable as well. Given the game total and point spread, I do expect both of them to end up being active, although we don't know for sure. Now, if Booker sits, we could be looking at some of the other guards here, like Jordan Goodwin would become more interesting. Dylan Brooks would become more interesting. I don't want to mess with that. I think this game's a little thin as it currently sits right now. Embiid's fine if you want to get there. I don't want to mess with this spot too much. And so let's go ahead and close out this first look build, guys. We have 3.8 left over on average, which is obviously going to mean we're probably going to have to redo our lineup, most likely. Although we could be getting into maybe some of the value here for Golden State and or the Bulls. I don't know if we need to get to post, and so we'll take a peek at who we could get to for the Bulls. And so maybe instead of playing Jokic, maybe we have to get off of him. So we'll put Gorson in the center spot, and then we'd have to get to a different power forward. So Tim Hardaway Jr. could firmly be in play if some of those players are out for Denver, Braun being out. And so we'll go ahead and get to Jaren Jackson. That allows us a little bit more wiggle room. And for now, guys, I'm just going to put who I consider just like a punt play right now. Once the day progresses, hopefully we can upgrade. We'll put Kispert in there at the small forward spot. And then that leaves us with 4.3 left over, which is not pretty, I will admit. But maybe we just go ahead and get to Colin Sexton, which is what the data likes. So kind of a weird first look build here. Then I'll go ahead and show you guys what the 9-5 lineup builder is spitting out to us as some of the top builds. I ran this before. I set that Chicago rule just as an FYI. But right now, just doing it. It does like Reeves, Simons, Moody, which I'm okay with. LeBron, I'm okay with that. Carter, Suggs. Again, I do like the idea of getting to some Orlando plays. Suggs is fine. Banchero, I'd rather try to get to Johnson. And then it is going to Nick Richards, who shouldn't be min price. Simply put there, I don't hate that approach there as well. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to leave a like on the channel, subscribe as well if you guys have not done so before. If you guys would like access to the tools that you saw throughout this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Join the thousands that have signed up. All the membership or all the tools available on the membership are available for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Again, 9to5sports.com. Head on over there, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.